Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of the Big Money Show, brought to you by the team of Big Financial Services. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, and joining me in the studio is the president, Glenn Cummings. We're so glad that you're taking this time to hang out with us today. If you are new to us or if you've been watching for a while, you're in for a treat. We put a lot of thought and time and energy into these shows and talking about the subjects that matter the most to you and your retirement. And today, we're going to be talking all things regarding the market. Glenn, my friend, are you ready?
Let's go, Kristen. How exciting it is right now. I mean, our firm is so busy and we're so blessed. I mean, this television show is it's such a blessing to be able to reach so many more people. Yes. And, you know, we talk about the markets and we talk about the opportunity in the markets. And, you know, something that I've seen recently is clients will come in and all we simply ask them to do, if they like, is to have an analysis of their current 401ks, their current investments, you know, wherever their money is, let's just do an analysis. And when clients bring that documentation to us and we have certified financial planners that will do a complete analysis of your overall portfolio, there's 3 different reports people get. The first one's called an observations report. It's generally just 7 pages. It says, here's some areas that you could improve. Here's the risk that you have. You know, a lot of clients have no idea the downside risk they have in their portfolios. They really have no idea. So when you share that with folks, you share with them how long it takes to recoup if you lose, and you share with them where they're invested. A lot of them are pretty shocked because they don't understand a lot of their investments or what they're doing, right? And you're trying to plan for this journey that at some point in time in the future, you're going to need that money to generate an income for you. So, and you want it to last, right? So I always say the more money you have, the better it is, right? Because the more money you have, the more income you can take, the better of a retirement you can live, right? So, but when I look at people's overall portfolios, many of you, when we do this analysis, you're going to see that you're in a lot of these things called mutual funds. Right? And mutual funds, a lot of them have interior fees that are very, very expensive. And in a lot of cases, they change a lot. So you get a prospectus in the mail, you're being charged more money in fees, you're getting an advisor fee, you may have a broker that's charging you commissions, you may be stuck in a traditional 401k that gives you these things called target funds. So if that's you and you see, okay, what do I pick and choose from? You as the individual, right, if you don't understand the markets and you don't understand large caps and small caps and mid caps and bonds, it's not your job to understand all this, but it's really crazy how the majority of us that are in these accounts really are making our own financial long-term decisions of where our money's invested.
Yes. Well, because when those accounts were created, we weren't given instruction manuals on how to manage the money. And even worse, and I'm sure we'll get into this later in the show, we weren't also given an instruction manual on how to distribute that money for ourselves either in the most tax-efficient manner.
Yeah. And distribution phase is what we like to focus on. Right? Because the accumulation phase, a lot of us can do that. You know, we talk about that in our previous shows. There's a lot of accumulation advisors that are going to try to help you accumulate your money. But I've also seen that a very high percentage of folks don't even have an advisor. They don't have someone they can talk to. They don't have someone that understands markets.
Have they been the DIYer, you find, the do-it-yourselfer type, or just kind of because they haven't known what to do, it's just sitting there? What's been going on with folks?
I think that all of us want to have some type of control over our money. We do. We want to have some skin in the game, right? So, you know, when you get your statements, your 401k statements, and it says, hey, this fund has averaged this over the last few years, or this one's averaged this, right? Or you get a target fund. The target funds basically try to make it as simple as it can for people that are retiring, okay? So if I'm going to retire at 2035, and I know I'm going to retire at 2035, I'm going to put all my money in that 2035 fund. Right? But a lot of people don't realize it may be over invested in other areas that are not providing growth to your money. You may be in some bond portfolios that maybe haven't performed too well due to the up and down markets of interest rates, right? So I've seen a lot of bond portfolios that really have been flat, that really haven't generated a lot of returns, right? International equity positions could also offer some better growth long-term in some cases. Mid-cap companies, small-cap companies, you've probably heard of those lingos. But a lot of mid-cap and small-cap companies are the smaller ones underneath the large cap companies, right? So large cap companies really are, in my opinion, some of the safest places to be with your money. And a lot of large cap companies generally can provide some significant growth over time. So in a lot of cases, I just see that a lot of these companies now are trying to let you have control. And of course, if you put your money into some of these things and you pick the right one, it's a good feeling, okay? It's like, oh, my account's up 15% in the last year, right? I don't need an advisor. So, a lot of cases, a lot of people just kind of get excited, but then you have a 2000 or you have a 2008.
Right.
And you lose 50% of that portfolio. And then it's like, I hate the markets. Who can I yell at? Who can I sue, right? Really, you can't sue anybody, because if you're the one picking your own investments and they lose, there's no one to come yell at. You can't come down to my office and yell at me if I'm not helping manage your money.
Right.
But if I am, you can come yell at me. We don't get yelled at much, right? But the reality of it is that you need to have a review of what you have. You need to see if there's something better. This is your financial future that you're depending on growing your money over time. And you need to know where in the markets is the best place to segment and to put your assets. And I like the large cap space. The large cap space, the S&P 500, many of you have heard of that. And many financial advisors, many financial gurus, you know what they say? They say, hey, look, if you just buy an S&P 500 index fund and you stick with it over this period of time, you're going to outperform the mid caps, the small caps, the international, you're going to outperform the bonds, and you're going to have more of a steadier growth over time. Well, that's great if I own all 500 of those companies, that's great. But out of the S&P 500, there's probably 75 to 100 of that 500 that's actually doing very well.
Right.
I want to own that segment, right? Right? The Apples and Microsofts, the Nvidias, some of these larger MasterCard and Visa, have had huge profits over the years. I want to own some of those companies, right? And if I can segment and own percentages of those companies, I can provide myself generally substantially more growth over time. So when I share with people, it's called back testing. Right? We can share with folks, hey, look, if you were in this group of equity positions, large cap companies, the bigger safe ones, or you stay in your current 401k over diversified in a lot of areas that the money's not growing, or you may have more risk, look how much better you would have done if you would have been over here. So those are very simple analysis to share with people. Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
No, it is exciting. As you were talking, it reminded me of what I always call a portfolio x-ray, right?
Yes.
Really peeling back the curtain and seeing what you already have, because it's eye-opening. I think a lot of folks, they might have opened a 401k, for example, when they started working. When's the last time you looked at that? When's the last time you had someone do a deep dive and show you how much risk you're currently taking? What are you actually invested in? What are you paying in fees? And to your point, are there opportunities for improvement? So I know that this is something that you offer as part of the complimentary written financial plan. Explain to folks why they want to call and take advantage of that opportunity.
Well, because if you were to try to hire your own certified financial planner to do an analysis of your portfolio, it's going to cost you a lot of money. It's going to be expensive. And like I mentioned, not only do we have one report, we also have a Morningstar report. In some cases, that could be 80 to 100 pages. Now, I don't want you to read the whole thing, but if you truly care about your retirement, you truly care about where your money's invested, you will read that document, right? We email it to you. We have another one that's called the Quanti report. Very, very unique reports and very simplified. But you have to say, you know what, I know that there are successful people that have invested in the markets over the years. And a lot of them have had financial planners and advisors to help guide them, to teach them where's the best place to invest, to look at long-term growth and all of those kind of things. But a lot of people don't take advantage of it. So take advantage of it today, folks. Give us a call. It's complimentary. We do it for all of our clients. If you become a client or not, have an analysis done. Take a good look. Take like you said, an X-ray of your portfolios and make sure you're in the things that you believe are going to be the best, as well as we're going to be the best. And like I said before, back testing, none of us can predict the future.
Right.
Right. I wish I could, right? But I can tell you one thing, if I backtest, I look at a portfolio that's done very, very well. And management that has handled that portfolio and the buys and the sells and the trades, management helps with those types of things. And how to segment my portfolio and which companies do I own and what percentages do I own in those companies. That's going to be very powerful. You're going to be able to look at how that management's performed. And hopefully that management will do just as good moving forward, better than what you currently are in. And reducing that risk is one of the most important things that we always discuss.
For sure. Well, I know we've got a lot more to get to as we relate specifically to the markets and what that means for your retirement. But if this is resonating with you, if you would like to have this level of detail and analysis done for you, like Glenn said, it's completely complimentary. Why wouldn't you want that? We encourage you to reach out today, and you can schedule yours by calling the number you see on the bottom of your screen, 888-503-7408. Or if you'd rather connect online, simply scan that QR code and that will get you connected as well. Stay with us. We'll be back with more here on The Big Money Show right after this.
Hi, everyone. My name's Glenn Cummings, and I'm the president of Big Financial Services. Many of you out there have saved your entire lives to be able to have a comfortable retirement. Many of you either have an advisor or you don't have an advisor that may not be doing the proper planning for you to give you the best growth with the least amount of risk that could be available in your current investments. I always ask clients, hey, this is what you've saved. If you could have double that amount of money in your accounts today, do you think that would change your future retirement? Absolutely it could. There could just be a few small tweaks that you need to make that your current advisor is not doing for you. Or your current 401k may have you locked into their investment options and you don't have any other investment options to look at. If you'd like to have a second opinion, let's see what your fees are, what your costs are, and let's make sure that you're on track, because you know what? Our responsibility as an investment advisor representative is to work for you and to grow your money. That's our responsibility. Be selfish in your approach. Get a second opinion to see exactly what you have in the areas that you can improve your retirement in the future. We'd love to help you.
Welcome back to The Big Money Show. I'm Kristen Oakley here with Glenn Cummings, president of Big Financial Services, and we are so glad that you're hanging out with us today. If you're just tuning in, we have been talking all about the markets, what you need to understand about how you're currently invested with your hard-earned money, because it can be a make or break it situation for the success of your retirement long term. And Glenn, I know you mentioned earlier, we've been talking about the depth and the level of analysis and reporting that you're able to do for folks when they come in to receive this complimentary written financial plan. And I know you recently had someone come in, you did this analysis for them, and they were very surprised at what was uncovered. Can you share that story?
So we looked over their entire portfolio. They are working with a typical broker house, we call it. Okay. I don't want to mention names.
Right.
Okay. I don't want someone to come.
A name everyone would recognize, though, right?
I'm sure. Yeah. But they love their advisor. He had been working with them for a period of time, and they had quite a bit of money saved up with this gentleman. But when I looked at how much money they were taking out of their portfolio, it was literally 8% of what they had, right? So 8% of the amount of money they had, they were taking as an income.
Meaning yearly they were doing this?
Yearly.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So, the 4% rule is still a pretty standard rule. So if this client is taking double what they should be taking, they run the risk of running out of money. So in our office, and here's what's nice, when you come in, number one, my office is right here in Tampa, folks, okay? It's a beautiful, beautiful office. When folks come in, we have a restaurant downstairs. Okay, you can eat some food before you come up and see me. We got a gym, you can work out a little bit, got a great staff. You come up to the office, we get you a fresh cup of coffee. Actually, we had a bunch of Christmas stuff the other day, and this stuff and that. We get stuff all the time from different folks, but brownies are in my office right now.
Okay.
So you have a cup of coffee, have a brownie, we sit down, and I have this gigantic big screen. And I plugged in, and what's nice is a lot of the software that we have has called a probability, okay, of your goal being accomplished, right? Where your money's invested and the percentages it's invested in. So we simply took their current portfolio, and when I put it in the model, and the model shared with them that they're going to run out of money at 75 years old.
If they kept doing what they had been doing. Wow.
A 94% probability, right? And I said, oh my gosh. I said, well, let's look and see if we were to simply shift, okay? Your portfolio gets you out of these, low grade, investment grade bonds, which aren't generating much.
Right.
Get you out of some of this international stuff, get you out of some of this mid cap and small cap stuff, and focus more on the large cap companies. Focus on those top 30 large cap companies that have generated the most of the growth in the S&P over many years, right? Of course, they do change.
Right.
If a company's not doing as good, we'll move to a better one and make adjustments. You have to have management that makes adjustments along the way.
Yes,
These
active
are the markets.
management. Yes.
Active management, most people don't have that, right? So when I shared with them that the same amount of money they were taking out with our portfolios had a 95% probability of lasting the rest of their lives. With their current portfolio, they were literally going to run out of money, right? Now, like I said, I can't predict the future. None of us can. But when you look at overall markets and how they've performed over the years, you can kind of come up with an analysis of how long this is going to last.
Right.
So they were shocked. And they said, can I have a copy of that report? And I said, of course, it's no charge, provided a copy of the report. And they said, we have a meeting with our advisor next week. We want to talk to him about this. That advisor has called me twice. What software is that? I'd love to get that software. I had no idea they could run out of money. He had no clue himself. Got it? So you have to be very careful who you're working with. And you want to make sure that they have every tool that's necessary to be able to make sure that you're going to have some type of plan that can work. Some type of plan that has a good probability of lasting. If we build a plan and it says there's a 75% chance you're going to be able to accomplish your retirement goals, I don't like that plan.
Right. That's like saying, okay, we're going to get on this airplane and the pilot comes on and says, there's a 75% chance that we'll make the flight. Or otherwise not. I don't think many people want to take that flight, right?
No, I want to know that pilot's going to at least 99.9%.
Yes.
But the reality of it is that a lot of folks don't have what we have. They don't have the software. They don't have the expertise, right? So I always recommend, like I say, a second opinion. Get a second opinion. I have clients that do it to me all the time. They'll take all of our stuff and they'll bring it over to another advisor. It's your money.
Right.
It's not my money, it's your money. So you want to make sure that you take your time and stop procrastinating. A lot of people are watching our show. I've had people that have called in and said, I've watched your show for 6 months, 7 months, and I finally decided to call in. I said, well, why did you call in now? They said, well, because you keep telling me every show not to procrastinate. And I'm like, well, then they decide to sit down with us, and usually it's a 3 to 4 meeting process. Like I said, we'll have a brownie, we'll have a cup of coffee. It's a beautiful office, oak trees all around. Let's sit down, let's relax. And there's no push to change. There's no push to make you become a client. There's no pressure. We don't have to do that. We're a very successful firm. What I believe is if you share with folks how you can improve their situation and you provide everything as transparency, they're going to be the ones that make that decision, not me.
Right.
I never say to a client, do you want to work with me? No, I just say, is this good? Is there any questions you have? Would you like to move forward? That's it. Would you like to move forward with our firm?
Right.
And it's a check and balance. You know, a lot of clients just want to ask a lot of questions. A lot of stuff that we discuss, they may not be comfortable with, right? Or they may not understand. But after 3 or 4 meetings of me sharing these basic things with you and basic markets, you know, when people say, oh, the markets are horrible, or the markets are horrible. The markets include, as I mentioned, bonds, right? Mid-cap companies, which are underneath the large cap companies, small cap companies, international equity position, there's commodities, there's future contracts, there's REITs, there's annuities, there's life insurance. You know, when you talk about the markets, what segment of the markets are you talking about?
Right.
Got it? So a lot of people, when they say the markets are not doing that well, or the markets are doing great, well, which segment?
What are you talking about
Because
specifically?
if the large caps are doing great, bonds really aren't doing great, right? In a lot of cases, or international might not be doing as well, right? So the point is that have an analysis, have a review, look over what you have, and get some advice from someone that does this for a living, right? Get some advice from someone that does this for a living. You know, same thing, if I were to need surgery, I'm gonna wanna make sure that that doctor is gonna do a good job, right? I wanna make sure I do a little research on that guy.
Yes.
Now, I'm gonna meet with 2 or 3 doctors before I decide which one I'm gonna work with.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
We so commonly get a second opinion about our health. Why not get a second opinion about your financial state? And here's the reality. You can't get a second opinion from the same person who gave you the first. But the team of Big Financial Services would love to be able to provide that second opinion for you in the form of your very own complimentary written financial plan. So to schedule yours, simply call 888-503-7408. Or again, you're welcome to scan that QR code and that will get you connected as well. Here's the deal. Do you have enough confidence in your current financial professional to get that second opinion? We'll let you marinate on that question and we'll be back with more right after this.
So if you're close to retirement, that's pretty awesome, right? But a lot of people that I meet with can already retire. They think I've got another 4 or 5 year window before I can retire, right? And the reason why is they haven't sat down. They haven't budgeted everything of what they're gonna need. You need to sit down with someone that can help you with planning for that retirement. Because once you retire, you lose a job. You know, we've got to make up that job with income from somewhere. And we want to make sure that income can last, right? The rest of our lives. That's a very important thing. So sitting down with a professional, not only me, but shop around. Just make sure that they build a plan for you that you can review and feel comfortable with. Building those plans is very, very important. And that way it gives you some kind of peace to it, you know? And that's what most of us want to know is when can we retire? Well, there's all kinds of different tools that are available out there, and it's working with someone that knows all the tools.
Welcome back to the Big Money Show, where today Glenn and I have been discussing all things market related as it relates to your retirement and really stressing the importance of understanding what you currently have, how you're currently invested, how much risk you're currently taking, how much you're paying in fees, and are you on track to reach your retirement goals? Well, we need to talk about another area that often gets neglected by a lot of financial professionals out there, and that's how to create greater tax efficiency throughout your full financial plan. And Glenn, this wouldn't be a TV show if we didn't talk about taxes, right?
No, you know, this is our specialty, is looking over, as we said, the complimentary written financial plan includes how we're going to take the distribution. So I like to help people grow their money. We do a great job with that. But the distribution phase regarding the taxes can literally eat away at your life savings and cause a lot of major problems with Medicare being taxed, Social Security being taxed. So having a plan that also encompasses how to reduce those taxes in the future, very, very important. Also, to go to our beneficiaries, because our goal is when we save a lot of money, we want to be able to enjoy our retirement and have a nice nest egg to go to our beneficiaries. And if I can pass them down a nice large nest egg that's tax-free, that's a lot better.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Or if I'm going to be taking distributions from my accounts, if they're tax-free, that's a lot better. So if you'd like to look at tax-free retirement options, those we can share with you as well.
Yeah, for sure. And awareness is really the first step. So we only have a couple minutes left on today's show, but we are just going to put a website for you here on the bottom of your screen. We invite you to visit bigtaxbill.com. You can get there by visiting that URL or by scanning that QR code. Glenn, what are folks going to glean from utilizing this free resource that you have for them?
Well, number one, we're not going to call you. We're not going to bother you, okay? Feel free to plug in different numbers, different times. You know, I have some clients that say, I have this chunk of money here or this here. What are my tax liabilities? And this is primarily on qualified accounts, 401ks, 403bs, because those are pre-taxed in advance, which means I'm never taxed on my contributions. They grow tax deferred, and then I have that tax problem when I take the money out. Right?
Yep.
So use the tax calculator. It's very, very impressive. And it'll show you what you currently have in assets and qualified accounts and what your tax liabilities will be moving forward. And that's something that clients love. And you can actually get a copy of it at home. You never have to even meet with us, right? But it'll blow you away. So please go online, bigtaxbill.com. The QR code. I love these QR codes. Okay? You know, whenever you go to a restaurant, you QR code, you get the whole menu. Same kind of thing here with the bigtaxbill.com, and it's a very, very powerful report. It's only 3 pages. It's very, very quick. You can get a copy and have it emailed to you before our show's over, actually. We've got 1 minute left.
There you go. Yes. But again, it's super easy to use, and it is so helpful. Awareness is the first step to understand what your potential tax bill might be over the rest of your life. You'll instantly be able to see before you even get the report. Once you complete the fill out form, you'll be able to see the difference between the government's tax plan for you if you do nothing versus how much less you could pay in tax if you enact some of these tax saving strategies. And really, that awareness is the first step. The real way you're going to be able to help folks is then when they come in and receive a holistic plan that takes this into account.
Yeah, usually when folks schedule a meeting, it's after they've taken that analysis and they've just plugged in some basic things. There's only 4 or 5 things to plug in. How much money you have, when you want to retire, all those basic things. That's what they bring in with them. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, and I know that more folks after they fill out that report are going, Glenn, help me figure out how to fix this, right?
Please! I didn't know this.
Exactly. That's why that awareness is so crucial. So
Absolutely.
Glenn, thank you so much.
Thank you, Kristen.
And thank you for joining us today. Again, that number to call to schedule your complimentary written financial plan is 888-503-7408. We love you, Tampa Bay. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time here on The Big Money Show.